Hello, everyone. My name is Tucker, and welcome back to our Russian Fishing for Spin Fishing series. So, I did turn the volume down on my mic a little bit. I noticed I was peaking. Actually, got a comment that things were buzzing a little bit. So, if you notice that, that's what's going on. So, today we're here at Mosquito. We have not done a whole lot of fishing at Mosquito on this account because it's not really a spin fishing lake. It's more of a bottom fishing lake, but I'd figured we'd have some fun. And one thing you can do at Mosquito is you can actually rent a boat and go out in the boat and troll. You'll do a lot of trolling later on at Quarry, so I figured we'd do a little bit of that here today. So, what I do want to do is I do want to get a second one of the Aquila lures that we've been using. So, the Aquila 4G 004, another 25 silver, definitely worth it. We'll use it, and having it in case we lose it is a good thing. I do also want to look at rig components and classic leaders and see if there's a difference leader size. So the 5.4 is sold out here as well. So I'll buy a second one of those. So we do have the two rods. I don't think I already had one. If I did, okay, good. I did not already have one. So we do have the two spinning rods, and both of them are going to get Aquilas, at least to start with. I may try the spiker later on. And to do this, you have to go over to the boat station and you have to buy a ticket. So I usually like to buy at least a 1 or 2 day. When your boat ticket expires, anything that any fish on the line will be dropped. So a lot of times I'll buy a 5 and have a 1 day boat rental in backup, especially if I'm over at Quarry to uh, if in case you get a really big fish on the line. So, but here I don't think we're gonna have that problem. So I'm gonna get in the boat. I'm gonna use the 1 day boat ticket, and I'm gonna go ahead and drive the boat away from the dock. And if you see in the upper right corner there, it says you can put it in trolling mode by pressing J, as in Juliet. And when you're in trolling mode, you will slowly just drive around. You can still control left and right with A and D, but you don't have to hold W down. So I'm going to set a 8 meter clip and cast out with our spinning rod. And I forgot to lock the bail. You always want to make sure you lock the bail, especially when trolling. And I'm going to make sure I've got an 8 meter clip on this one as well. And I'm going to cast it out. And if you look, the lines are now just being dragged behind the boat like you're reeling it in. So your spinners are spinning, and it's possible fish will bite onto it. Fish should bite onto it. And we'll see how this goes. I don't think I've ever done this at Mosquito, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. You do have to keep an eye on your rods to see when a fish is on, but typically hanging along the shelves. So when I say that, hanging along where there's a change in depth is where I tend to get the most fish at Quarry. That's where I'm going to try here. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's probably not the best time to be trolling, but it's worth a try. And we appear to have a fish on at least one rod and maybe both. So this appears like it's going to work. I did look at the cafe before we started. There were two perch orders, so I'm very much okay with catching perch. So there is a fish on both of them. And you do have to kind of learn how your rods bend when there's a fish on. I don't think we're going to catch much different than perch and maybe chub here, but it's definitely worth a try. There may be some pike as well. If I look at what is at Mosquito, chub will often bite. Obviously, we catch a bunch of those. Perch, pike. That looks like the main things that folks are catching on spin fishing. So I do spend a lot of more time looking at the map when I'm trolling, especially in a lake I don't know the depths all that well. At Quarry, I kind of know where I want to be just because I've done a lot of trolling there. And you can definitely make some good silver fairly early on when you get to Quarry. So Quarry is a level 20 lake. Um, and mainly a lot of spin fishing, a lot of there's some good bottom fishing there as well too. But it's a very deep lake and you will often be getting 10, 20 kilo fish out of it. I don't have a fish on. I thought I did. Oops. So here I did press S, which stops the trolling motor because I was about to run aground because I wasn't paying attention. That happens. You can hold shift and go faster, turn faster. That will scare fish off though as well. Once you're in trolling mode, you can stop it when you have a rod in your hand by pressing J, but you can't start it back up while still holding the rod. You can still turn the boat while holding a rod in your hand as well too. So here, probably not going to have to do it too often, but at Quarry, oftentimes I have to chase the fish around the lake that I catch, especially if I hook into a big one with small equipment. But so far, gotten a few good perch. This looks like a decent eyed. I will take a marker eyed. And I do typically cast with shift and cast as hard as I possibly can because no matter what, you'll go out to 8 meters with the boat dragging it behind you. Keep in mind when you look at the map, in this case, I'm looking out the back of the boat, so my arrow is facing backwards from my direction of travel. I honestly have no idea if this experiment's going to be a good one or not. It may be a bit of a short episode. I'm recording this pretty late. It's actually about 8:30 in the evening, and I usually release these at midnight. So pushing it a little bit here today, but it was a busy day at that four-letter W word. I don't think I even brewed the tea we bought at the end of last episode either. I have not logged into the game at all today. Barely even had time to look at comments. I do want to try the spiker lure here in a little bit, but figured we'd do a little bit with the Aquilas to start with. Then I'll probably put the spiker on one of the rods for a bit and see if anything different happens. It is starting to get cloudy and it's not super late. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It is going to rain, of course. And one thing I will recommend if you are going to do this, make sure you go into audio and turn down your sounds because the boat engine gets to be pretty annoying after a while. So, wanted to go over the deep hole and see what happens here. Got another fish on. That would be a chub. So far, they've all been small. And again, today I don't really expect to make a lot of silver. I just wanted to do something different. This may be dumb. This may be fun. I don't know. So far, uh, 2 markers. Marker eye will be worth a little bit. Marker perch, not too much. but there were perch orders at the cafe, so I'm okay with catching a perch. Trying to make sure I don't swing my head. A lot of times I'll swing my head a lot quicker than I am here. This is a reasonable fish, but I don't want to do that in the video because you can't expect when that happens, and I don't want to make motion sickness. That's a reasonable chub. At least a marker. Let's go around a couple more times with the Aquilas, and then I'll switch over. Probably rod one, which is the free rod we got at level 11, over to the spiker for a little bit. With the rain, I don't know. I have problems in the rain, usually spin fishing. But if I'm going to get an episode today, right now is about the only time I can do it. And hello, pretty reasonable sized fish. You can hear my drag going. Now, part of that is because it's behind the boat. That's part of why I'm turning the boat. I may stop the boat here in a second, but I want the other rod to still be attracting fish. So if I can keep the boat moving, I would like to. Looks like I might be able to. Kind of circling around the fish. I'm making a hard right turn right now. That's a decent chub. 1.2 kilo chub. And it looks like the other rod caught a fish while I was doing that spin. Good. Another perch. And I'm going to go ahead and throw the spiker on here and just see what happens. May throw the spoon on as well. Just to kind of experiment a little bit here at Mosquito. So keep in mind, I did have to pay to rent the boat. I think it was about 3 silver. So you have to include that cost in any calculation you do on fish to see if it was worthwhile or not. And again, with it being a rainy day, I don't know. There's a fish. Another perch. Small perch, but it'll do. I'm lost in the lake. Where am I? Okay. That's what I thought I was doing. Trying to stay over that deep hole somewhat. Or at least around the edge of it. And fairly appropriate named for a mid-October drive through the lake here. It was called Witch's Hole. And at least here in the United States, October 31st is a big holiday. Not really holiday, but Halloween where people dress up as spooky ghosts and witches and things like that. There's something on the spiker. Reasonable perch. You can see I was turning the boat motor, even though I was holding a rod in my hand. Another perch. Let's try the spoon on this rod. Spoon will typically dive a little bit deeper and typically get bigger fish, but who knows? Also, will usually attract more the uh, usually we'll get more of the pike. Perch have been going mainly off spinners and balsas or the minnows. Pike have been off spoons and wobblers and jigging. Chub have been spinners and then a wobbler and a bottom rod. Long term, weekly. I didn't even look at the weekly records. I probably need to go. Oh, you can't see weekly at a lake. That's right. With the wind being as high as it is, the boat's rocking pretty good in the waves. So far, the spiker and the spoon have been a little bit slow for my liking. Spoon's got something. Another perch. spoon seems to be doing a little bit better over here closer to the shore. I don't know if that's just coincidence or if that's actually the case. Got something over here on the dragonfly bell. Decent little perch there. So I actually intentionally did this. I want to go ahead and stop the trolling motor. Evidently, I hit K and dropped the anchor too. They're not going to let me do what I want to do here. I was hoping I could just get out right here next to the campsite because I want to go into the campsite. And usually you can just pull up to hello fish. Usually you can just pull up to the land and get off anywhere. There's actually a nice perch. There's actually at Quarry, there's an island that the only way to get to it's by boat. There we go. It's going to let me off. So we're over here at the campsite. At the end of last episode, I did buy equipment to brew tea, and I never did. So you come over here to the campfire, you press Y to start the campfire, you select hot tea, and it puts the tea kettle and a pack of tea into the spots, and then you hit make and you brew tea, and you get 6 portions of tea for every tea bag you had, assuming you don't fail, which I don't know how you fail at brewing tea, but the game lets you fail at brewing tea. So I noticed my comfort was getting pretty low, especially with the rain. So I did want to go ahead and brew some tea. I did kind of beach the boat, and if you notice in the upper corner there, it is giving me an option to push off with L as in Lima. So I was doing that. And I put the anchor down instead of going into trolling mode. The good news is the fire will stay lit pretty much for the rest of the session. So I can go back and brew the rest of the tea that I purchased later on. I don't think you want to watch me brew tea 8 more times or 6 more times or whatever. So you can go ahead and run into the shore if you're not paying attention, like I just did. What I was about to say is you can put your tea into one of your quick slots, and I highly recommend you do that. That way, if you have a big fish on the line, you're not having to go into a menu to select what you want to do. So if you hold T as in tango, you can then drag your tea into a spot into one of the slots. I like to use slot 4 for tea and 5 for my bait harvesting shovel, scoop, whatever. So now if I press 4, I will drink tea, and I guess I eat the thermos as well too because I consume a thermos of tea. And you get comfort, which is the bottom bar that is right now red, and a little bit of food, which is the second bar from that. And both of those help energy, which is the top bar. So we logged in, it was around noon. So we've been fishing for about 10 hours. A lot of it's been in the rain. We did get 19 fish, so pretty reasonable bite rate doing this. Now, granted, we do have 2 rods active. You know, I could have thrown a bottom rod out on shore and come back to it later, but didn't want to risk that. There's times I do that, or there's times I'll spin fish and troll through the night and then bottom fish through, or spin fish through the day and bottom fish through the night. So I'm going to go ahead and take the spoon off and put my night lures on. So I tend to like to use darker lures at night. So these purple ones work well. The Kilo 4G006s. There's a black dragonfly bell that works as well, pretty well too. But the darker lures at night are what I tend to prefer. And with the sun going down, I think it's time to switch over to the dark Aquilas. We'll we'll go for a little bit longer here, see how night fishing goes, and then make a decision whether we're going to have a short episode today or not. But I knew this was a bit of a gamble, a bit of an experiment. I wasn't sure if it was going to be successful. And honestly, it hasn't been bad. A lot of perch, which is what I would expect doing this at Mosquito. When you get to quarry, it'll be trout. There's asp, there's char and quarry char. And so what I just noticed there was I saw my line going out, which told me I probably hadn't locked the bail. I didn't think I actually had a fish on it, but you do want to keep an eye on that as well, just in case you do a dumb and forget to close the reel. So I was basically letting line out, and because the reel was not locked, there was no tension on it, so I couldn't even tell there was a fish on. Something to just kind of keep an eye on. What I was seeing was the line would go slack for a second and then go taut, go slack for a second, then go taut. And that told me I'd forgotten to close it. Decent little chub. Another 1.1. So what I was talking about is you see how there it's kind of spurting out, and you how it's not a straight line and solid, how it's kind of bouncing around. That tells me I didn't have the reel locked. And of course I drove it into the weeds while not paying attention. I just backed it out and then put it back into trolling mode. Drink some more tea. The rain has stopped, so hopefully that'll help our comfort get back up to reasonable. As far as the experiment here, I think it's been successful. I didn't expect to be catching big fish or anything like that. But again, part of the game is doing something different. Part of this series is showing off different types of fishing, different options. So, would I probably recommend this for silver and experience? No. But from the fun factor, it's been fun. I am going to reel this rod in a bit just because it's so far back there. I don't exactly know where it is. And I could run it aground, get it snagged, that type of thing. Eight meters is probably a little closer than I should have done. I probably should have done 10. That's 10 to 12 is what I like to do at quarry. Keeps it a little bit away from the boat motors, so the sound of the boat motor doesn't scare the fish as much. But quarry is also a bigger water body, so it makes sense, and it's a much, much deeper water body as well too. Where here the maximum is, there's a lot of 1 meter deep, 4 meter deep. At quarry, there's 15 meter, 20 meter deep holes. Night fishing, slow. That's what I expect, unfortunately. I don't want it to be, but it is. Need to turn hard to not run into land. I expect going near the cattails here, likely to possibly see some uh perch and some pike. Pike are predatory fishes, so they tend to be near the weeds and things like that in my experience. Sorry for whipping my head around there. And we're back up to full comfort, full food, full energy. Keelas aren't doing much. I'm curious. Let's go see what we've gotten so far. Thought I heard one of the rods clicking, but sounds like there's a helicopter flying over my house, and that's what it was. Let's go look at the cafe real quick. See what we've got. And yeah, I know there was two perch orders. I thought one of them was expiring soon. I'm glad I came back. So 11 silver there. Well, first let's look at the fish market. 21 fish, 16 silver. Pretty much the same prices we've been seeing over at Winding. As far as the perch order goes, definitely want to sort by weight and sell our 5 smallest, or 11 silver. And that's a big perch, 2.1 kilo perch. I doubt we're going to see that. I don't think our ide was over a kilo. The rough order is a good one. That's pretty easy to get 544-gram rough here. Crucian order would be easy as well if I wanted to. But we'll go back out for a little bit here and see what we can catch from a spin fishing perspective. And then maybe cut this a little bit early. I don't know. It's actually 9 o'clock, so typically I would be releasing this episode in 3 hours from now, and it usually takes YouTube 2 hours at least to process it, especially if I want HD available. So probably do another couple passes here and then call it a day. Looking to see if you could easily tell. Yeah. So you can go hover over your boat rental and hover over the eye, and it tells me 11 hours left on the boat rental. Hello, big fish. Hello, very big fish. I mean, granted, the boat going away isn't helping it, but this is a pretty good fish. Don't like how much slack I have. I'm actually going to just stop the boat for now. And you saw their hands are busy, so I can't drive. I can't turn the motor back on to start driving without putting the rod down. I'm snagged. That's awesome. Yep. It's not a fish. I'm stuck on the ground. So what I did there is I opened the bail up, opened the reel, so that I'm just letting line out while I try to get a different angle on it and see if I can't free it up. I didn't want to keep it locked and potentially damage my reel, break my reel, tear the line. I also have the friction brake as low as I can in case I do something dumb like try and move with it snagged like this. Usually I can get these free, but this looks like a ghost snag. Where you don't get the true snagged. The game doesn't think you're actually snagged. Ooh, that was closer than I wanted. I'm actually snagged here. I may just call it. Yeah. Not qu- okay. Let's pick the rod up, open the bail, reel our other one in, just so something stupid doesn't happen to it. See if I can get to where I can stand up. Yep. So I'm just going to go sell the fish, and I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I don't want to travel and come back and deal with the hassle of that. So I think I'm going to just call it a short episode. Definitely not a bad episode. We got the 11 silver from the cafe order. From an experiment perspective, 20 silver in 10 hours and not even the best part of the day, 27 silver. Not bad. Definitely paid for that Nikila that we bought. But, and then how much did it actually cost us to rent the boat? So $3 or 3.5 silver to rent the boat. So we made 20 silver, 24 silver today. A little bit of a slow day, but a fun experiment, I think. So appreciate everyone watching. Thank y'all. And have a good day. We'll be back again tomorrow. Bye bye now.